Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Under the Influence. We're so glad to have you with us today. On this episode, we have a very special guest, a returning guest. He's been here a few times before, our friend Carson Pemble. He's a joy to have in the studio, and we're so glad he got to join us for an episode again. And not just any episode, but this one specifically. It starts off with us going over, as we've been trying to do this whole season, our devotionals, the things that we've been reading in God's Word in the last week. We each come with a little nugget of what we got out of our time in God's Word. And that after that, we go ahead and introduce our primary topic. Our primary topic, and this is why it's so great that Carson's here, because I know how much he likes this guy, is a reaction to a clip from Theo Vaughn's podcast. So I'm sure some of you have already seen this. It happened a couple weeks ago, but Theo Vaughn is seemingly coming into realization of his need for a savior. And we just talk about that, and we're so encouraged by that. It's a great conversation. So I hope you stick around, because we go over not just the emotional response that he's having, but just what the answer is to the question and problem that he is proposing. So stick around for that. It's such a great episode. It's one of the ones I think I'm proudest of us for. So praise God for that. We love you very much. Enjoy the episode. So I've been reading 2 Corinthians. I'm actually nearing the end of it. I should be done by our next recording. And 2 Corinthians chapter 11, one of the ones that stood out to me was, it just stood out to me. It made me think about this a lot, and because, it's one of those verses that gets brought up often in the Mormon argument. But 2 Corinthians 14, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Therefore, it is not surprising his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, whose end will correspond to their actions. And I've been thinking a lot lately about the no one is immune to any sin sort of thing. It's just been on my mind a lot. Because I think it's really easy to feel like that way, prideful about ourselves. But not only that, too, like sometimes we can give, like there can just be people in the back of our heads that we're kind of like, oh, that person would never do this or never do that. And then it doesn't mean that our lives should be spent going like, at any moment, this guy could literally kill me, right? Or whatever. It doesn't mean that we walk on eggshells like anyone's going to do anything. But it does mean, right, that we all play this role in holding one another accountable, and also like going out of our way to even help, like maybe someone isn't very careful, right? And it's like they're not sinning, but they're not very careful to keep themselves out of situations. Like it can even mean just, advocating for your friend and being like, hey man, like, have you ever thought about, being more careful in this situation, to not set yourself up to sin also, and that's just been an area of the Christian life I've been thinking a lot about lately. And so it was interesting because often it seems as though God guides us to scripture that informs the things we've been thinking about, right? Or that are going on, in our lives or the lives of those that we know. So yeah, I that's the thing that stood out to me recently. So not super, super encouraging thing, but it is just something that stood out to me. And I do like the way that is worded, right? It's like, even Satan does this. So of course there will be people that pretend to be like the holiest of Christians, but really they're our enemy. And so, yeah.
Do you want to read that verse one more time?
Sure. Do you want any more context or?
No, I just want to hear that verse again.
Yeah.
And now you've kind of given the context, like what you've shared around it.
And no wonder, for even Satan, I guess I should read 13. For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. Therefore, it's not surprising his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness, whose end will correspond to their actions.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
What I have been reading is, I've been reading through the Bible like in a year. Shout out to Call for getting a group of guys together to actually do that.
Ah, cool.
Which is really cool. And so my brother and I have been kind of talking about what we've been reading, and so it's like a little bit of the Old Testament, a little bit of the New Testament, and then a Psalms and a proverb, or a piece of a Psalms and a piece of a proverb. And the Old Testament, we just got into the Judges, and this is like a funny one, but it was, we just got to, I don't remember his name.
Please tell me it's Ehud.
Is it Ehud?
I don't know.
Maybe it's
the
like
knife.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the-
yeah.
Yeah, the
Ehud.
left-handed,
He's my
left-handed
favorite.
judge,
He's
knife
like-
underneath his thigh.
Leaves, talks to the king,
Yeah.
leaves, and then comes back, and he's like, "I have a message from the Lord."
Yeah.
And he's like, gets quiet, and like brings him close. The king, like, okay, everyone
Whammo.
leave.
Everyone leave, locks the door,
Pulls out this foot long, like 1 cubit
Yeah.
dagger, stabs it into him, and it like
loses
gets in-
the handle.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
felt
goodness.
that.
Well, then, and
Crazy.
the follow up to
It's
that is
fantastic.
funny too.
He jumps out the window.
Yeah, he jumps out the window, and
and
the other guys are like,
He must be pooping.
He must be in the bathroom for a while, and they wait and they wait.
I
and
mean,
they
he's
come
got
check it
long movements. I mean, a man of such girth,
That I think was crazy, and I think that a little bit changed my perspective. Like the judges, I kind of just thought of them as like all these old people that kind of you're like, oh, the Israelites have fallen away, bring it back to the Lord. But this was like some kind of, I think he was young, I don't know, but he was like active enough to stab a guy, jump out a window, and like get away. Like that's pretty crazy. But that was a fun one. No, the important one, maybe it's all important, but we just got into John as well. And so this is when Jesus, John 1, very early, John was standing with his disciples, and he looked at Jesus as he walked him by. He said, "Behold the Lamb of God." And the 2 disciples heard him say this, and they turned to follow Jesus. And this is what verse 38, so John 1:38 says, Jesus turned and saw them following, and he said to them, "What are you seeking?" And then they said to him, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come and you will see." And I think our pastor talked about this, and so it really resonates with me like recently, is that question of like, what are you seeking? Some translations say like, what do you want? And it's not like Jesus like turn around and be, "Hey, what do you want?"
Yeah.
But it's like what do you want? Like what are you seeking? What are you looking for when you follow Jesus? Because I believe this is all like pre-feeding the 5,000, pre all the miracles. So it's like maybe some of them later were like, "Oh, we're here for free food." Or maybe it's like, I just want to see. I think we also were wrapping up Luke, and it was like Herod really wanted to meet Jesus before they crucified him because he heard of all the cool things that he had done.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he's not doing anything for me, kind of like give him back to Pilate. And so like, why are we following Jesus? What's the motivation behind that? What's the heart that we have? And I've been thinking about that. Like, why do I follow Jesus? Why do I have a relationship with him and live my whole life around? Like, what's the point of it? So yeah, I think that's what I've been reading. That's my,
Cool.
That's my little devotion recap.
So I've moved on to Romans. It's been a couple weeks.
So now you
in
and
real
Jared are
time.
both in Romans.
Yeah. But Romans 8:18 and 19. I love it. For I consider that our present suffering cannot even be compared to the glory that will be revealed to us. For the creation eagerly awaits for the revelation of the sons of God. And it goes on to talk about, how creation was also cursed alongside the rest of us, but how restoration will be happening once the sons of God are, fully restored and once we are fully sanctified and everything. And it's a really cool, it's good to know and dwell on the future, like brightness that is promised to us when we're going through some hard stuff. Yeah.
That's really good. Can you read it again?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sounds like what your verse ended with was that like, and the demons will have like, their outcome will be kind of what they are in now, kind of something like that. And that kind of is the opposite for us. Like our outcome is going to be very different.
Yeah.
Like that's,
Because of what Jesus has done.
yeah.
For I consider that our present sufferings cannot even be compared to the glory that will be revealed to us. For the creation eagerly awaits for the revelation of the sons of God.
Yeah. My grandpa, I talked to him on the phone today, literally said that to me today about how he's like, so I love Romans 8. It's one of my favorite chapters, I think. And we were just talking about some difficult things. And he's like, he goes, something I talked to you about on that episode that I did with you guys, and talking about how the hope that we have, like our role as Christians is to like pull that hope, like what we know is to come, and to choose to live in it now. Right. And then like we're always doing that until the moment that it is revealed, and then we're not doing that. We're not hoping anymore, because now what we were hoping for is in the now. We're just living in it. And he's like, he quoted that about how the suffering that we're enduring right now, what we have to look forward to is incomprehensible, incomparable compared to the glory we'll be in someday. And he's like, that's the thing I cling to right now, when he's like, when I can't sleep because I don't have my wife anymore, or whatever it may be. And so that's cool that's the one you shared. It's like 4 hours ago on the phone with him or whatever, and he's quoting that. It's good. I love that.
But yeah,
Romans is so good, man.
I just kind of think that it also feeds into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today, because going through so many struggles and hardships, like what makes everything worth it is that we are sons of God, and that the coming glory of God's kingdom and God's return and everything that's awaiting us and promised to us will make all of the sufferings that we go through worth it, and all of the time and effort that we put into trying to grow God's kingdom, no matter how fruitful it may seem to us. There's so much else that's going on and so much at work that we aren't aware of. You know? And
that's a cool second part of, so in the Bible when it talks about how we respond to suffering, right? Whether it's First Peter or Philippians or all over the place, when it's talking about how when you're suffering on behalf of Christ, you should see that as honor, right? And take joy in it. But then also there's this other side of it. That helps us endure it, right? But then there's this other thing that helps us endure it, which is this part, right? Which is also looking forward and knowing what else is coming, that it won't always be suffering. Yeah. And that's cool. I think I focus in my life on the honor part of it. And that's how I get through suffering. But it's important to have that too, which is that also someday I won't be suffering.
Yeah.
Because of Jesus. Both of those things too. The reason is Jesus.
And the amount of time that we spend here is going to be literally nothing compared to eternity. Quantifiably.
It's just a little.
It will have been nothing compared to the time that we're spending in glory.
Just a dot.
Yeah,
just a dot.
If even that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even a pixel.
Not even a pixel.
Which one? Now I'm curious, Levi. Which one do you kind of resonate more towards? I mean, from what you said, maybe just that timeline, just kind of the I can bear anything for a second kind of mentality because it's going to be better in the long run.
It's something that I thought about back in high school when Marco was talking about all that stuff. When
Marco Garvey, shout out.
Yeah.
Our high school Bible teacher. We'd love to have you on the pod sometime.
Dude, that'd be so cool. And a conversation was being had, and I just came to the realization that it's literally living a sinful life is short-term gain for long-term suffering or punishment. And but the other way is short-term punishment for long-term gain, or short-term punishment for long-term, joy. Whichever way that you look at it, because, people sin because they want to. Sin wouldn't be an issue if we didn't enjoy it so much. The things in this world, the fleshly things, none of it would be an issue.
If it wasn't tempting, it'd be hard to be tempted by it.
Yeah. And there's joy, there's happiness to be had in this life for sure. But if you avoid that and do stick with what Christ wants for your life, there is happiness and joy to be had, but it's not the same kind, because it also comes with a weighty, there is persecution for those that follow Christ, and we have to bear our cross. And even when you look at it as in following the Proverbs versus somebody that doesn't, you still living out your 20s, being, doing whatever you want, and then you pay for the consequences later on in your life. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't happen, but will always happen is if we live this life for ourselves.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, whether we are happy about it or not, when we're seeking out our own happiness, we will have long-term suffering or punishment, whichever way you want to look at it. But if we don't, seek out our own happiness and seek for the glory of God, then we will have that long-term reward and, you know, the joy that comes from God and being able to be in his glory forever.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, that ties into like the first will be last and the last will be first too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, I think there is a joy in being last. Like it is, I was just talking to my uncle about this, but like he's going to join the Peace Corps. And it's like one of the things that's like the most selfish thing that you can do is to help others. And like, I do believe that in the sense of like, you get so much joy and satisfaction of like doing things for other people and to living your life to like a higher calling and following what Jesus says and like trying to be within his will. I find more joy in that than I would have in the short-term joy, maybe what you said, of just living for myself.
But like that's like living with that long, like delayed gratification.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which can be really tough because
Really
our
hard.
flesh does not want that at all.
Yeah, because serving others too is choosing, because sometimes, yeah, like Levi said, it's long term. I think you're right too, though, that sometimes it is in the immediate. Like it does bring you joy, like right in the moments you're serving sometimes. But then I think the promise of service too is that like even if in the moment I don't feel that, I'm choosing to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is that other, because I think it's like this mix of the two, right? Like that you get, like there are definitely times I think where choosing to do the right thing and to serve others, I've not felt in the immediate that like this is a selfish version, right? But then there are the other times where I do, which like that, not selfish, but the way you're saying it, right? Where like, this makes me feel good. There's definitely been times, because I think that's less the like acts of labor service. I think it's the other ones where it's like the long suffering of maybe bearing burdens for other people, right? Those ones I think are the ones that don't often feel good in the moment. Whereas I think the other ones, like maybe more associated with the Peace Corps, the like building homes for people. Those are the ones I think in the moment when I've done them, I did feel that.
Yeah.
I think it's the other ones.
But I think that a lot of those, like that joy and happiness is a blessing from God.
Yeah.
Because if we didn't have that in the moment,
how would you
like
do it?
It'd be
getting through it becomes so much harder. And like
then everything becomes kind of what Jerry was saying, where it's like it is, you don't see that immediate gratification from it. You don't get the joy and experience
Like-
from it. And everything's the long term.
Yeah.
I have to know
if
that-
everything is only the long term, a lot of
That's
people
hard.
like I don't know if I could be Isaiah.
Because that's the thing I wanted to get to. 'cause
Like-
what you were saying earlier about was like,
I don't think that I could do
yeah,
Isaiah. Like, and I am super convicted by that because I've realized it as working in ministry, going from being really discouraged by stuff, like mentally behind the scenes, like I don't even know if any of this matters. I kind of want to quit, struggling with that, and then all of a sudden seeing, oh, this person was impacted directly by the thing that I was involved in. And then it's like, okay, this is all worth it. Thank you, God. And then I instantly realize, oh, I shouldn't have to have that to continue. Like,
but it sure is helpful.
oh, it's
It sure
incredibly
does,
helpful.
yeah.
I go between thanking God that like, thank you so much for letting me see that, because this is not something that everybody gets to have. And then also, man, God gives me everything that I need, and I needed that.
Yeah.
And like, but I should be growing more so that I don't need that all of the time, and being able to do what God wants me to do without the instant, like, or like the so soon seeing the fruits of that labor.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to that, because when you were talking earlier, that's the thing I wanted to make sure that we got to, was that because it was starting to sound a little bit like we were saying the choosing to live as a Christian is just the bearing the cross and just a bad life now for a good life later, which is not biblically accurate, right? That's the true thing, is that like sometimes it's that mix. Sometimes it is the, like we must remember that God blesses us now too, right? Like we don't live we're not in a relationship with the vending machine God, where we like, oh, I put this in and I get this out. All of it is God's will, and he chooses sometimes, like he chooses often, like you just said, when we don't deserve, to just bless us. And like, that's so incredible. And yeah, it's like I like that you said you find yourself just thanking God, because like our response to that should be gratitude, right? Just like, dude, I was struggling with this and I didn't deserve that, but God knew what I needed. And I haven't thought about it that way, about how it's like God knows what you need, so he gives you that encouragement in that moment, which is cool. I've just usually, when I've had those moments, been like, man, I didn't deserve that. And I've mostly just felt the conviction, like I didn't deserve that. I should have been serving, whether he gave me that or not. But man, I'm glad he did, because it was encouraging, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I didn't know that about your uncle.
Yeah,
Peace
well,
Corps.
it's like just a couple weeks new.
Oh wow! Like, is he already gone?
No, he's just starting. I don't think he knows where he's going yet. He's got like
Cool.
two options. Like, you can kind of choose where you're going to go and what you're going to do,
Wow.
or you can just say like wherever I'm needed the most. And I think that's probably the route he's going to go. So we'll see.
I know like strikingly little about the Peace Corps. Like,
Yeah,
I
same.
didn't even know it was still a thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, are they just? Is it just like it's not a ministry, right? It's like an organization that sends people to help people around the world.
I don't think
or?
it's a Christian ministry, but I think it's
yeah, but it
a
is
ministry.
to like help it's like a part of it's also like a trade,
Oh wow!
like learning opportunity depending on what aspect of the Peace Corps that you sign up for.
That's so cool.
And whatever it is, it's like, you know, I just remember being told about it, like, oh, you should, if you have the opportunity, you should do it because it looks really good on a resume and it'll
really?
teach you a lot of stuff.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
do it for the resume. Yeah.
Do it for the resume. That's what you meant by the selfish service. I'm just
so
doing
the next
this
job
for-
will be better. Higher pay raise. That's definitely.
Why are you in the Peace Corps? Because I
No,
want to be an
he's doing-
accountant. I want to work at a bank.
No, but I
Something
knew a
like
guy
that.
that did it and then came
cool.
back and like worked in a construction company and like climbed up the ladder there because he was just building houses and stuff.
That's super cool.
But
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
made the point earlier that like what your devotional will segue us well into our main topic, and we've basically talked a lot about our main topic here, which I think is a great introduction to watching the video that we're going to watch, right? So also, man, is it perfect that Carson, you're joining us today, because when I knew Jarrett wasn't going to be able to make it here, I was like, man, I wish we had a third. And I thought, oh my goodness, how did I not think of this sooner? Carson should be here for this episode. Just because I feel like often you have sent me clips from Theo Vaughn, and we're gonna watch some. We're gonna watch some of his podcast here. Just a little bit of background though, for like why we're talking about this. We wanted to talk about this sooner and do this on the episode, but I'm actually, in sitting here, glad that we weren't able to, because it led to us getting to have you here for it. And I think already this has been a really good conversation about this. And that's not at all to speak to Jarrett's detriment. Absolutely not. Just a cool way. I'm trying to
I
look at
intended
how.
for your comments to be a detriment to Jay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I know if I were Jarrett, I could have felt discouraged by what I just said. So I wanted to make sure that what I mean is I want to see how, you know, God's hand is in our lives, and how it's cool that like we get to have you here. We get to have you
And
here.
it worked
right?
out.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah, it was literally yesterday. I'm like, crazy question. You want to film a podcast tomorrow with very little chance at preparation?
I'm so glad that we got you here though, because like I haven't watched anything Theo Vaughn for like years.
Oh. He's a funny dude.
He's so
he's
funny.
gifted. in
He's an
comedy, like,
incredibly funny
absolutely.
dude.
Yeah.
But I had to like take a step back from watching his stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, sure.
because, you know.
It's not always appropriate. It's not always highly recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
A lot of it's pretty inappropriate.
Yeah.
but the reason we're watching something here is, you know, one of the reasons is we've tried to highlight when there's these people like in the like new media zeitgeist, right? So like podcasting, things like that, when they're really popular, and then they start talking about Christianity and beyond just talking about Christianity, you know, clearly the God at work in their heart is kind of on display in their content. We love to talk about that because just in general, I like to make the point that, man, isn't it so cool that like the way that we consume media nowadays, like it's not like there's so many podcasts out there. And so even if people are putting on a face because it's a podcast, no matter what, there's just so many hours of that person's voice being recorded that you get to know some part of the real Joe Rogan or the real Theo Von, right? In a way that, like, if Joe Rogan was just a news anchor, you wouldn't, right? And like that used to be the celebrity, right? It was like those sorts of people, right? Like movie stars and honestly like news anchors, like people like that people, or like people that did interviews. But podcasts, you're just listening to this person talk for like thousands of hours a year or whatever. And so because of that, when they go either way, towards or away from God, more of the like logical or illogical reasoning and the conversation that's kind of in their head is on display for people to see. And so even if it's a person that's making a show that the goal of the show isn't to encourage Christians or make disciples, that is a really cool witness. And so we like to do, for that reason, I think we like to look at these clips and stuff. But Theo specifically, his is gut-wrenching, I think, or heart-wrenching. Like, not gut-wrenching. No, it's heart-wrenching. Like, I think it's a really beautiful, heartfelt message, and I think it's very personal and very real. And there's some cool points that he hits here that I think we can talk about, about where his journey is, it seems. But also, he hits on something that I think some Christians don't even talk about, which is what the main reason I thought I want us to look at this. So I watched this podcast and then immediately texted Levi and was like, or I think I texted the group and was like, we got to talk about this in the next episode. And then we weren't able to. We got to talk about this on the next one. And then we had to cancel it. So finally, I'm so excited. Here we are. But is there anything else anyone want to say before we just go ahead and go straight into the video?
No, I think that was a great introduction and summary.
All right, let's take a look at it. Hit it, Shibs.
I couldn't change it. I couldn't change the cycle. And even as I say this, I'm afraid that I'll fall back into those behaviors. But I'll tell you what for me has been helpful recently. And I'm sorry if I sound a little animated. I just, I've been like going through this in my own life recently, and it's on the tip of my thoughts and feelings. Sometimes I realized for myself, I would pray to God to help me get away from certain behaviors in my life. But at the same time that I was praying, there would be a part of me that knew I was probably going to do those things again. That I was probably going to do those things again. Like, God, please help me. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have this behavior. But there would be a little part of me that was like, I know even as I ask for God's help that I'm going to do it again. I would know that. So I started praying like this. I started praying like, God, please help me with this. This is a broken part of me that I bring to you. I need help with it. And then I would add to my prayer, I would say, and even, God, even as I pray to you right now, there's a part of me that knows I'm probably lying to you. There's a part of me that knows I'm going to do that behavior again. So can you come into that part of me and help me there? Help me in the part of me that knows as I pray that I'm lying. And I don't know if that sounds crazy or not, but I started to think that like a connection between us and a higher power, it's such the realest. It's like in my life, it's one of the realest things that I've ever witnessed, right? Like you go in, like I'll be in meetings and or recovery meetings or and you see people's lives change. You see something happen. You see miracles, right?
Amen.
Well,
That's it. It was a good one. I think that's all we needed.
All right. Well, we have
that's good.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's
Yeah.
good. I love to see him there. I really do.
Going like seeing the old Theo Von, and like that's what I was accustomed to then just seeing him like talking about like this is really, really cool to see for me personally, but also just like not only talking about like, praying to a higher power to be able to quit these things that are going on in my life, but the way that he's praying for it and seeing like when I'm even asking for those things, I know that a part of me is lying, and then asking for those things to be changed too, that line. And yeah, it's just
he's having a realization of the sin nature, essentially, without those words and knowing probably that terminology, right? Maybe the theological framing of that. It's like he's realizing and he says a little bit later too, I think, or like something in me is the problem. And that's just like, that is the seeds of the gospel, the like that God created you, but that our sins separate us from God, right? And that part of it starting to really take root in his heart, it seems like, and then that conviction to set in, which is the necessary prerequisite to salvific faith, right? Is, we have to confront that we need saving, or else we don't
What
have.
are you being saved from?
Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, you're not saved if you because we do have to have faith in what Jesus has done, and if you don't know you need saving, then you don't know what Jesus has saved you from, what price he has paid, and so you have no salvific action to put your faith in, or at least there is one, but you aren't, aware of it. I was listening to that first time, and because I had heard, there's this epic Theo Von episode that's like Christians are gonna love, and so it made me go find it, and I knew nothing about it. I was listening, I was kind of like, so far, like, yeah, this is fine, this is cool, but I don't know if there's enough here that we could add to this conversation that I'm sure everybody else is already gonna say. But then when he said that, I figured this is something we should talk about, because I think immediately to me it was personal, because when he's saying that, he's not listing a specific sin, but the context to this, which we didn't watch, was this is a segment on his show where viewers are calling in, right? And is that a typical thing that he does? Do you listen to his show regularly? Or?
I don't. No,
you don't?
so
Okay.
I don't know.
But I don't either. I think Jarrett said that it is. I can't remember, but listeners are calling in and leaving messages, and some of them are asking for advice. And the guy before this had asked him for some advice, so that's why he's talking in that way. Maybe if the listener isn't aware, but I love that. When he's talking about that, he's basically having this like Proverbs 26:11 realization, which says, like a dog that returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. It's like you can hear that he's taking that responsibility. Like, I keep doing these things. He calls it like patterns of behaviors. I keep doing these things and they're wrong, and I keep coming back to them. He's like, and I'm asking God for help. But then that realization he has, to me, was so personal, like relatable, because for years struggling with pornography, that was the thing. And I remember being like, I'm praying. I'm trying to pray it away, I'm praying and it's not changing. And so I'm trying to beat it, trying to beat this sin even more. Like I'm trying even harder to get rid of this in my life, and that's not working. And I remember multiple times getting to a point where it was like years into that, where I'm like, I just fell again. And I used to I would fall again and I just wouldn't go to God because I'd be too ashamed. I'm like, I'm not even going to go to God because I don't deserve to ask him. And getting through that was like, okay, I just fell again. I am going to go to God. But then I would pray and I'd be like, God, this is pointless because we both know I'm going to do it again. Mm-hmm. I remember saying that exactly. So listening to him say that, I was like, oh, bud, man, I know that. Man, I know that feeling. But I don't remember ever thinking to pray the way he said he prayed there, which I was like, dude.
I love that. Do you think of it as it's kind of like a progression of where you first start, you're you just don't acknowledge the sin, mm-hmm. or you don't think it's a bad thing, or I can just do this and it's fine. It's not really impacting my soul, whatever it is, right? And then you get to where oh, I've made a mistake. You acknowledge mm-hmm. it's a sin. You kind of understand the pain and the separation it's causing between you and God. To where for me, I see kind of as a progression, as you keep going down, you're okay, then you're oh, I've messed up. I'm too embarrassed. I'm not going to go to God. To then okay, I am going to go to God and I'm going to ask for his forgiveness in the sin, whatever it is. And then you can still know. I think that maybe that's where Theo Von is you know that you're going to sin. You know that you're human, that you're flawed. It's I think that's where, to me, it reminds me of Paul, where it's why do I do the things that I hate, but I can't, but I what is it? Yeah.
The things that I
The
want to
things-
do, I do not do, and the things that I
need to do, I continue to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it's like you're acknowledging it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you're gonna sin, but you're still going to the Lord and asking for forgiveness, and you're praying, please help me, you know, to not do it again, even if you do know, like, in the future that you're probably gonna sin again. No one's perfect,
Right.
right? But then, like, I think after that, it's like now praying through that whole thing is like, God, I know I'm going to sin. I continue to sin. I'm a human. I'm a failure, you know, but you've done everything for me already. I think to me, like, that's where my mind is going in this timeline.
Yeah.
And I think it ties back a little bit to what you were saying before about, like, the living in the now and the not yet. Kind of like we're living in a time where we know there's sin in the world. We live in this place where there's pain and suffering, and sin is all around us. But we know that we're going to be in a time where we're forgiven and there's no sin, and we're in heaven. We're in the presence of God 24/7. Like, it's that balance of how do you live in both the here and the now and the not yet, or whatever that is.
Where my mind kind of goes with it as well is like that story in, I think it's Samuel, where the ark gets taken by the Philistines. They take it away, and then they're like, cool, we've got this ark, this other god, we're gonna set it up next to Dagon in our temple. It's all gonna be cool. We're gonna, like, another god added to our you know our pantheon or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we got the Jewish god, and this one's like fully made out of gold. It's really great. It's all gonna be good. Go home, come back the next day. Dude, who knocked Dagon over? All right, let's set him back up. It's all good. We set up the other ones too that also fell. Go back. The next day, who is knocking Dagon over? This time his arms and his legs broke off. What's going on? They set it back up, and then they're like, he's fallen over. Hey, I'm not feeling so good. They all start getting tumors, and they're like, shoot. This all changed when we brought that here. So let's get that out of here. But like, the way that we can bring
tie that in for me.
yeah. So God does not allow, like, evil to be around him. Like, in his presence, evil cannot stand. Evil falls before him.
Yeah.
So in our lives, we need to invite God into those places in our own lives, you know, in prayer and petitioning, and like just really truly inviting him into those areas. And when we invite him into, like, okay, I need help with this addiction, please help me with this. Cool. All right. Squashing the addiction. And then it's like, well, I'm trying to fight the addiction by only placing God there instead of bringing him also to where I need, like, because it's that, like, second degree of, like, yes, I need this done, but I still like to do this thing.
Yeah.
And I need to bring God to that part of me that likes to do this thing. God, make me hate this thing.
Right.
Make me find it so disgusting. Make it the smell of cigarettes so that I don't smoke, you know? No, but
But you have to invite God in.
but inviting God to those places in your life and truly, like, listening to him in those places so that he can knock over those other idols that we have set up, those other parts in our life that need to fall and be broken, so that instead they can be, instead of just setting those things back up in a broken state, we're clearing them out and replacing it with the presence of God, where we want God
with
to
man,
be.
it is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Like,
Yeah.
bring him in.
Yeah,
Because
bring him in.
We need him in those areas in our lives.
So that he can break us and remake us.
I love it. Great
you know?
tie-in.
Yeah. And like, because it's not just the surface things. It's like the whole thing with, like, quitting to swear.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, yeah, I can hold my tongue, but you can only hold your tongue for so long. It's a hard issue that you need to work out. Like, the ways that you're thinking are also not very good, probably. And the content that you're consuming is not very good, probably. The way you're thinking about other people, if, you know, you're falling back on these, it's so much of it is a heart issue, not just the symptoms of these things. And we need to be inviting God to those places, which I think is really cool that Theo Vaughn is doing, is inviting God to those areas where there's other parts of the video where it's a little bit obvious that he's not fully gotten it, you know. But like I think that this is a huge step that a lot of people don't even get. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think something I was going to say in response to what you were saying earlier was like on that timeline thing. It is important, I think, to notice too that timeline that you were laying out was sounding like it was from the perspective of somebody who is a believer too, though, right? So like that timeline, and I mean, it doesn't mean it's exclusive to believers, because some people kind of get down that timeline, and then because they get to a certain point, that's what God uses to convict them and show them that, and then they believe the gospel, right? But then, you know, for some, I think it's like there's a version of that for both. Like for unbelievers right now, like I don't know his heart, but I don't even know if Theo Vaughn would say that he's a Christian right now from some of this stuff that I've been watching of his. Like, that's not me trying to judge his, like, that he still uses language or whatever and say, oh, so he's not a Christian. I mean, no. I just think that it doesn't seem like he would say that even about himself. And part of that also, I think, is kind of demonstrated in like when he's talking about these things, he isn't calling them sin. He isn't saying something that you had made a great point earlier about talking about how like we get convicted about how our sin does cause relational separation between us and God, right? Or like feeling that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't talk about it in that way. He is recognizing that these bad, what he says, like forms of behavior, he's recognizing them as bad. So it's like when he's asking God to change them in him, that's a good thing. I'm definitely not saying that's a bad thing. But he is saying it from the perspective of like, I don't like these things, which is good. Like that is good. But there is an important next step that is recognizing those things that you recognize. You're rightly recognizing that they're wrong. But what makes them wrong is that they are against God's will. Like they are counter to what God has called us, created us to be. And so that timeline, you know, like, I think he is kind of at that like fourth step that you laid out or whatever, but he's kind of skipped a couple of the first two and gotten to this. And so these next ones, like I'm saying this like it's a good thing, because like if he's here, imagine when those other two click, it's going to hit like a truck, right? In a good way, that like, wow, like understanding now what God has done. I think it's just cool because now he's got so much of this. Because for me, I think I was coming at it from like, I took those steps on the timeline like one at a time, I think, in my life. I had these like intellectual ascents to the importance of what God has done. Like I believed it. I thought I understood it. But then I had to experience the pain of my own sin. And then I was convicted because I knew these things intellectually. But I'm like, oh my goodness. Like it doesn't matter that I know them. I'm living against them anyway. But he is coming to the emotional understanding of like, oh my goodness, I'm living this way and I wish it was different. But now he needs like that intellectual understanding of the gospel, because then once those two things meet, it's like that is like that step that equals seemingly a transformed heart. Yeah. Right. Which is just so cool. Like, so I think it's cool to see how in everybody's life too, their testimonies are a little different. You know, God saves us all the same way, but like different people's brains are different. And so like they come to that moment, you know, it's not like it's a ladder. It's like it's what are they, like path stones or whatever. And some people go like this stone, this stone, this stone, this stone. Other people go like this stone, this stone, this stone, this stone, this stone, you know? And it's kind of cool because
life is like a big choose your own adventure.
yeah, exactly.
And
but
some
it
people
all
are
comes
just
back.
opening up the book in random spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
Because like those choose your own adventure books too, they give the illusion of different outcomes when really it's like this one leads this way and this way, but they come back to the same.
A lot of times.
You know, and for us, really our lives, they look like they're going differently, but they either come back to the same of one of two outcomes, like salvation through Christ and Christ alone, or we pay the price that he paid for us. So no, I was encouraged hearing that from you, because it's like, yeah, that's true. Like I can see I was recognizing that some of this timeline of my life, he's kind of going through the same one, but for him right now, seemingly not yet a believer, this just also shows the importance of why he needs Christians to support him, because if he is experiencing the emotional side of it, and then that intellectual part of like the gospel hits, and when they click, if it does hit him like a truck, he needs those people to say like, but there's forgiveness for that, right? Like there's grace
around you.
Yeah.
I something else like the things that I want to do, I do not do, and the things that I don't want to do, I do. A lot of that is being said when he's talking about his transformation from being under the law to then having the Spirit of God within him. And like, because that was also like either just before or just after when I was reading in Romans. And so I was thinking about it this week, and the I just had it and now it's gone. No, I thought that saying no would bring me back to it.
We can come back to it. Didn't you?
No, no, it's literally right there.
Spiritual, the
No, it's
law.
really right there.
That's what Paul was talking about.
No, yeah. So when you were saying that the things that I don't want to do, I do, and the things that I do want to do, I do not, is when he's under the law. And then he talks about, but the transformation to being, instead of having the law of the flesh and the law of the Lord conflicting within himself, where he's either serving the one or the other, and one leads to death, one leads to life, but I want to do the one that leads to life, but I just am reminded, and I know logically, but then I just fall and I fall and I fall and I fall. And then when he gets the Spirit, that same Spirit that rose Christ from the dead, that's now living inside of him, and he takes that more seriously, then he's not thinking about the war between the law of life and the law of death, the law of the flesh versus the law of God. He's then thinking, no, I am a new being. I am redeemed by Christ. Sin doesn't have any more power over me. Those things have been forgiven. So now I can just continue in this relationship with Christ. And I think that there's a difference when we figure out that it isn't just do the right thing and everything will be good, but it's be in relationship with God, and that's what makes everything good. Like, we can't just make things good by just trying to follow these things because we fail. But having that relationship with God, seeing how much the bad things that we do hurt him and how much he still loves us and has put so much on the line for us and doesn't want us to live in those places and brings us out of them. I think that it helps that clicking that you were talking about, that experience of it, experiencing those things, and then knowing that Jesus experienced so much of, like, experienced all of that on the cross when he took on everything that we have done to die for it.
Yeah.
And like, it sometimes just takes us experiencing all of that to really put all of the things that we've learned previously into the correct position in our life, and where transformation can really start to happen. You know, does that make sense?
No,
Yeah.
I think it does.
Yeah, there's something you said earlier too when you were talking about the Dagon statue that I thought was really cool because, I mean, yes, it did make sense. This just reminded me of something you said earlier, like when you're talking about how inviting God in, and that demands us to not just keep picking up the same things. He kind of actually brings up something that is perfect for what you said there, about how, like, it will basically you by bringing God in. Right? By believing in God, having faith in Jesus Christ, it demands a transformed life. Your life must now look different, right? Rather than trying to hold on to the same things. And what's really cool is we're going to see in one of these next clips, basically him having that realization. But really quick before that, I did want to just say, like, the section of scripture that what he was just saying really reminded me of was Mark 9:23, where Jesus, or this guy comes up to Jesus and is asking like Jesus to heal his son, right? The son that is like having seizures and possessed. And he says, Jesus says to him, if you are able, all things are possible for the one who believes, right? Kind of harkening back to something you said earlier. And he says, immediately the father of the boy cried out and said, I believe, but help my unbelief, right? And so what's cool is, again, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem as though Theo is yet a believer in Jesus. However, he is praying to God. I do believe God is hearing those prayers, and he is saying a very similar thing, right? And he's saying, like, I do believe, seemingly he believes by asking God for help that is the right thing to do, and God will help him. And it's like he's having that realization right there. It's like, I know that is what's right. God help me. but God, help me because I still deny your help at times too. Like, I thought that was so cool. It's just so reminiscent to what that guy said there. Like, he's going to God for what he needs, just like that guy is going to the right person for what he needs for his son to be healed. And he's like recognizing that, like, oh man, but I don't fully believe, right? And I think that is so cool. But I think the next section of the clip might be the one where it tees up really what you were saying earlier, which is so good. All right, let's check it out. Hit it, Shibs.
It's good. It's good at the angles. But so I've just been praying that God comes into those parts of me, you know? Don't just come into like the water inside of me. Come into the well. Come into the walls of the well. Come into the mortar or whatever that's in between the bricks. Because I'm broken. Because I'm broken all the way there. You know, and I don't mean that like in self-pity. But if there's a part of me that doesn't even want the best for me, then there's something inside of me that is off.
Yeah, we've kind of already talked about the thing that I thought would be really valuable to talk about here a little bit, and that's okay. There's probably more. Maybe that prompted more that you guys wanted to say there. But one, I wanted us to highlight like an awesome illustration, in my opinion, that I think only Theo Von would have come up with, because it's such a Theo Von thing to say, you know? The way he's just like, you know, like how he so often is grasping for imagery that you're like, oh, I think I know where he's going with this. And then he like grabs something that you're like, whoa, but it still makes sense. You're like, whoa, I would not have thought of that.
Yeah.
Not just the watery side.
Not just the water, but the depths.
The well. The mortar in between.
The mortar in between, because it is our sin nature is in every single aspect of our human being that we have to deal with. And so inviting God to all of those, it's like he understands it.
Yeah. But there's none good, no, not one.
Yeah. But he understands it, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or he knows it, but he doesn't understand it. Yeah, I don't know.
But like, do we know if he's a Christian or not, or like, has he claimed to be a Christian? Because I know that he like was going to a Bible study for a little while.
I know that.
Like, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know his heart, but like,
no.
I don't know if it
sounds like
I don't know if it makes it, but he talks about like talking about the Bible. He brings up a Bible thing that he talks about.
That's our next clip.
Okay. But there's a part that he talks about just, and it doesn't have to be Jesus. It could be, you know, whoever is bigger than, like, out there.
Like, he refers to God as like the higher power sometimes.
Yeah, whatever higher power you're praying to.
Oh, bummer.
But that doesn't, like, that could be a part of him where he's just
Answering a call.
Yeah, like
just somebody could be open to other people. He's
right.
playing like a protection kind of side of it.
Yeah, I think sometimes he is doing that, where it's like, I don't want to force the Bible on my listener. Even if he is a believer, I'm not sure, because like I think a lot of people too, when they're new Christians, that's the thing they do. They're like, I just read the Bible, not that you have to, right? And then like the more seasoned we are, we go like, well, no, there's only one path to heaven. You need this, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because like I did some research and I tried to find like, has he said definitively that he is a believer? And I couldn't find any evidence of that. There's just a lot of this kind of stuff similar to Joe Rogan, where it's like he is talking though about praying, and he is talking about having gone to church, and that he does believe that like the lifestyle that comes with Christianity is better. Like that's the thing that Joe Rogan says a lot, right?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, even recently he defended Christianity on one of his shows by saying like, there's some of the most effing nicest people in the world or whatever, you know, like it's just funny because it's like, well, okay. Yeah. Okay. He's recognizing that like, to try and connect those things, what Joe Rogan is saying there and what Theo is really building to, and especially in that next clip, is that a saving faith in Jesus Christ does change a person, because it should. It demands a changed life. In response, and that's so cool. But the illustration, the illustration,
the well,
love it,
because it's like that's the sin nature, right? Like you said, like it's not that. It's almost like saying, you know, if we're to equate those different parts of that illustration to something, you know, if the water like is is like what we produce in our life. So like our works. He's recognizing sometimes the water's bad, but he's like, but don't just fix the water. And then it's like, if the bricks are like the moments in our life, like that have informed, right, our life, like that build our life, right, who we are. It's not even just that. He's like, there's something at the core of my being, the stuff that holds all that together, who I really am, like at the core of myself, like that. And I just thought it's cool because that illustration works in that way. And he's hitting the nail on the head. Like that is that at our core, there is something wrong with us. And that is kind of that point I was making earlier, that like we have to come into conflict with, because that's the part that shows us that we need saving from something, and Jesus is the answer to that need that we have. And so it does seem a lot like he is there, right? Like he's right there at the cusp of it. Now, I don't know if he's really heard the gospel or not. I hope so. But that is where someone can come into his life and be like, hey, I think you're getting it.
Yeah.
And be like, this Jesus is the answer to that, and explain that. And he may very well just believe the gospel. Like that would be so cool.
Levi wants to say something, but I'm going to jump in.
No, yeah, go for it.
I think that it's because like the truth is the truth. Like it doesn't matter. We as Christians will put a lot of Christianese and like wording around things.
Sure.
But like at the core of it, like the truth is the truth.
Yep.
And like if people are honest with themselves, which I think Theo Von is like being very honest with himself, like he's calling out something that is true. And that's like people say like we've got the God-shaped hole in our heart, like whatever you want to call it. But there is something that's in between the mortar, some sort of sin that's not separate. Maybe he's not acknowledging separating him from God, like you said, and we talked about. But it's something that he himself knows is wrong, and that he knows that he wants to stop doing it. Like he is acknowledging himself that it's wrong, and he knows that it's like it's just a truth that I think is there within our sin nature. Whether he says sin nature, whether he calls it the fall of humanity, like whatever it is, like a lot of language we have around it, but it is the truth. And I see from his perspective, maybe Joe Rogan's perspective, or even like Jordan Peterson's perspective, like just the idea of, you know, there's something here. There's a truth here that is eternal, and like it's
We're
not going
broken.
away.
And we can't fix ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, well, you don't have to be a Christian to come into that reality. Like that's the point, right?
Yeah, but I think that truth is like you said, that is like they get that truth and that nugget, but it's they're not. Maybe he's there, maybe he's not there. I don't know. I'm not trying to say that. But like, you know, the next step is like then what you're saying. Like, well, I think is the biggest piece here is that there is a solution. There's someone that's actually already solved this for us. Yeah, and this like that's the biggest part.
I think he's at the very least gotten to. I'm broken.
Yeah.
And I can't fix myself.
Yeah.
I need someone else. Jesus is a someone else that can fix this. Yeah. And then he just needs to know that Jesus is the only someone else that could ever fix it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like that might be. I'm not trying to like just
I think we can be careful.
Praying, that's huge though, right?
Yeah.
Praying and
like
being like
it's
Jesus, seal this piece of me.
It's incredible, and I absolutely love to see it.
Because I definitely want to celebrate where he's at.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And then especially too, because like we don't know who's listening to this. There may be people that's right where they're at. I don't know. But like, you know, in that same way, you know, we just celebrate the prodigal coming home, right? Like that's our job, is to celebrate that. And then to point out where he's right and why he's right. And like that's the Christian's job in this in so many ways. And that's why I'm saying like, you know, it's just so cool. Like it's so, and something that's convicted me is like when I'm watching this, I'm like, man, do I find it this cool every time? Or am I just finding it this cool because it's Theo Von on a podcast, right? And that, I think, like, I try to, you know, I think it's easier to when they're someone that I know, but that should be our goal, man. We should think this is so cool. Because it is. Like it's so cool to see. And what you were saying earlier, like, you don't have to be a Christian to come into conflict with that, or else who would be a Christian, right? You know, because we all at some point have come into conflict with our sin nature and know we need saving, and then the gospel has been the answer to that. And why is that? Well, I mean, like we're created in the image of God, right? He has given us a conscience for a reason. And then God has God has called us, right? He has started that, if nothing else, in sending his son, right? But man, it's just so cool. It's just so cool to see.
For me, it's like, I'll be sad if I don't say this. I know we want to keep it conversational, but like it's like a call out that it's like, it really is huge, right? Because I know a lot of people, family and friends, that it is, they're struggling. They're realizing that there's more to life than what they're living, and they just don't know what it is. And maybe they've heard, everyone, I feel like in the United States has heard about Jesus Christ, but like not known him truly. And like, that's like, he is the answer. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah. That there is someone that died on the cross for your sins specifically, and that he's the way. I think it's so good for us, and we should be excited all the time because we know the good news, and we've heard the good news, and we're living in it, But it's like, the good news is so good because the bad news is so bad. Right? I think Wesley Huff said that or something. But it's like, it is really bad. Like it is a sad life, and it is really difficult to just live that life without that relationship. Just kind of, everyone I don't know that I know that doesn't know the Lord is struggling in some way or another of knowing things that, like Theo says, like knowing things that he wants to do that he's just not doing them, or he doesn't know the purpose to life, or like not understanding why we're here, or just like people are lost without the Lord. And yeah, for us, it's great. I love the good news. But yeah, to everyone listening, I invite you guys to just pray. Yeah. Just reach out to the Lord and he will answer.
Yeah, like you said, everyone without the Lord is they're struggling without an answer, because we still struggle, but we struggle and we have the answer. Yeah. But they struggle and they struggle without an answer, right? Like,
it's bearable for us.
It's bearable. Yeah. God makes it worth it and bearable because of the hope. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's something I've thought about a lot too. Like, just like when going through some of the hardest things, like death, like that's the only thing that fixes it. Not fix it, like you have that hope. That's the only thing. And without it, like, yeah, it's wild. So like, yeah, for Theo, man, God created you to be with him, right? That's the gospel. God created you to be with him, and what you are recognizing. Oh, what I want to say earlier was we were saying about, I tried something else to get my train of thought back. Instead of saying Noam, I just started quoting the gospel.
That's a good route to go.
Dude, it worked. I'm telling you right now. So you're saying the good news, right? Yeah. Is so good because the bad news is so bad. Yeah. And we can recognize, like, the good news is good news for the world because the world can recognize on their own that there is bad news too, right? Like, we do have to tell people the bad news, and like, so that they will realize it, right?
They don't need much convincing.
Some people, our pride can cause us to need convincing, right? True. But also, like, I wonder what we would call it, if we would even call it good news, if there wasn't a way to know that there was bad news already. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too esoterical here, but like, it's just interesting because like, we are coming to deliver good news, and you only do that when you're bringing good news because there is bad news that people know already, right? Like,
there is evil in the world. There's problems.
Yeah. So
that is interesting. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to. I wish I'd let that ruminate more, so I could have made a more full thought there. But there you go. There's nuggets of something to think about.
People already know that there's bad news. They just need the context behind. Yeah. Like the full context. They know it's bad, but they need to know why it is so bad. Yeah. And then like, some people can't get past that part. Yeah. Because it has to be so bad because the good news is so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we've got another clip here, and in this clip, I mean, we've talked about a lot of these things already, and so really the thing that, like, what I wanted us to do with this episode too was less speculate on whether he is a Christian or not. Like, it's fine for us to talk about some of those things. I just mean more like, because like was said earlier, right? We don't know his heart. Yeah. So what we can do is look at this and take his words at face value, which is, it doesn't seem as though he's claimed Christ yet, but he's coming into these realizations, and then from a Christian perspective, right? From the Bible, speak to what he's saying, right? And inform from Scripture, like what he's saying, what those things are, and what his next steps could be. And like you did, for those listening, if they're at that same point, what their next steps could be, right? And I think this last thing that we're going to look at that he says brings up that thing you were talking about earlier with the statue of Dagon, the demanding for something new. Because he's already laid out his recognition of the bad news, it seems like, that he can't do it on his own and he needs saving. But he here, I think, touches on the reservation, many people's reservation, but it sounds like his reservation for taking that next step and putting his faith in Jesus. I could be wrong again, right? I'm making an inference based on the things he's saying, but that's certainly what it sounds like. And I'm not saying that like a bad way. I think it's cool. Like that's this point is. And so, yeah, let's check it out.
I don't know. I'm starting to just feel something different. And then I was looking on this Bible, and there's a story called John 5, and it's about a guy who's at these pools, and some people follow the Bible, some people don't. That's fine. This is just a story that I'm reciting here, and Jesus is at the pools, and it's in Bethesda, and they're like, there's a sick man there, and he's been sick for a long time, and Jesus asks him, "Do you want to be healed?" He asks him, "Do you want to be healed?" And that's a crazy question because, if I get healed, then I'm different. If somebody gets healed, they have a new story. So that's just been something that I've been having to ask myself. It's like, do I want to be healed? Do I really want something different?
He gives an answer.
And sometimes a lot of the answer is no, I don't. I want something different, but I don't want to. I don't know if I'm scared of it. I don't know what I am. I don't know if I don't want to do what it takes to get. I can't even tell what it is. And it's hard for me. Some of this stuff's a little bit hard for me to say. I don't even know why, but I think I want a new story. My story in my life, and I'm sorry to make this about me kind of, but I'm just trying to...
the answer I was referring to when he gives an answer. I love how he starts it by saying, I don't know if I do. Right? Because first he's saying, like what you were talking about earlier, when Jesus is like, what do you want? Mm-hmm. Like, and he's like, do I want to be different? I don't know. I don't know if I do. But then, man, I want to just highlight what he said right there. I think I do want a new story. And that's where, like what you said earlier, that's where that comes in. Dude, he just said, like he's laid it all out. Like, I recognize there's something wrong with me and I can't do it on my own. I need saving. And then the natural question is like, well, do you really want saving? Like Jesus may ask, like, what do you want? And he goes, I think I do. So like, Theo, man, Jesus is the answer to that. Yeah. Like Jesus is the answer to that. And Jesus does transform us. You just put your faith in him and
do it, Theo.
Do it, Theo. Like we are, I hope he sees this, not just because that'd be so cool, but like, I want you to know that these guys here who don't know you from Adam, right? Like we know of you who you don't know from Adam, I should say. Yeah. Like we're praying for you. Mm-hmm. We love you. And there's Christians all over the world who do, but no. And if you feel that, and I think you do, I think he's talked about other places, right? Where you feel that love, right? Praise God. Who loves you way more than all of those people is the God of the universe who created you with a purpose, right? And yeah, you're right about those things in your life being bad and they separate you from him and you've recognized that, right? And you're also recognizing that you can't do it on your own. You can't fix those things on your own, and you need him. Well, the answer is Jesus. Jesus paid that price for you, right? Like those bad things, he's talked a lot about how like the bad things in his life have ruined him and the people around him. Like that's just a fraction of the destructive power of sin. Those things that he's recognizing are bad. They separate us from God. That's the ultimate destruction, is they separate us from God. And because of that, there is a payment that is demanded, and it is death, and we will all pay it, if not for the fact that Jesus paid it for us. And so that's your answer. Like you put your faith in Jesus because he paid that price that you owe, and you're recognizing that you owe. And it's available to everyone. Everyone that puts their faith in Jesus is saved, and being saved means having life eternal, right? Making all those hard things now on this side of eternity, making them worth it, and then giving you hope for something to look forward to in the midst, like Levi was talking about earlier, in the midst of those hard things now, right? Pulling that into the now, right? With our hope that we have in a promise from God, and looking forward to what will someday be, which is eternity with him, right? Freedom from all that hardship. Like, that's the answer to what you're talking about. And I hope that there are people in your life, because more than likely you'll never see us talking about it. I hope there are people in your life, and that's the thing I've been praying about, is that God put somebody in Theo's life to give him the answer that he's looking for. Because right there he said it. I want a new story.
Yeah.
Jesus gives you that.
And that goes to Theo and all the listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Just anybody that's in that stage in their life.
All the Theos out there.
All the Theos.
All the little Theo Vons, man. What an incredible thought.
Little baby Theo Vons. Right?
A bunch of little tiny Theo Vons running around. Man, like bring me to the bricks, you know?
That's so huge. Wanting a new story.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The admitting and acknowledging that if you want to be saved, it's going to change you. That you will have a new story.
Because like earlier on, he's talking about like, I don't know if it was in the clips, but like he's talking about, I'm tired of this story.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this story because it's every time I'll do all of the things that I've always done in life, and then I'm like, man, I hate this thing. I'm going to walk away. And then I just do it again. And I keep repeating the same story over and over and over. So later on here where he's talking about God's asking, do you want to be saved? And he's like, do you want that new story? And he's like, no, because I'm scared. And then, coming back to.
And I think that's very honest and like very genuine to be like, no. Because like I feel like a lot of us, even like I would say myself, like included, it's very like, I know what this is going to cost me. Like if I want to give up this sin, and like, we acknowledge that, right? You know, it's that short-term gratification, wherever you said, for long-term pain, or reverse it, and that's kind of where we want to go, right? So it's like we have to give up that short-term. He's acknowledging that he's going to have to change his life. He's going to have to live differently, and he didn't know. But as he thinks and kind of, I think, talked through that, it looks like, maybe he cut it or something, or maybe we jumped or something. But it's like at the end, he got there. He's like, you're right. I think I do want a new story. I want to change it up.
And like, Theo, you're not alone in that either. Because I remember, like, I grew up a Christian, but I remember differently. Like, he's coming at this from a life that is not being a Christian to this point. I came to the same point he's at right now, but this other version of it where it's like I was a Christian. So like I knew all these things. And so we all have to come to that point and I remember where I was when I went, I want a new story. Like I was lying for so long and just being like, no, that is my story. But in my heart, knowing that isn't my story. My story is not one of a person that has put his faith in Jesus. Like I was in name, I was saying it, but it was not. And I remember being like, but I don't like thinking some of those same things, going, but I don't really think I want that. And that was some of those same times where I was going, praying to God, take this struggle with porn out of my life. But I know I'm going to do it again. And there were other times where it was like, I don't even think I want this gone. Like that. And it's just so evil. And I remember thinking that sometimes like, man, that is evil, but I kind of don't care. But I remember where I was sitting there thinking, hold on. Like you said earlier, like, I hate the smell of that. I hate it now. I hate it. And it took prayer, like asking God, make me hate that, but also just like seeing the destruction in my life and the way it was affecting the people around me, just being like, oh, I hate that. like, God, I do want a new story. And that was really humbling because it took admitting that that wasn't my story already, right? That's the way it differs from Theo, is he's just recognizing that like he needs a new story. I was like in my life, like lying, saying it was, and then had to go, no, it's not. And I do, but I'm willing to say I need it now, God. And it's just, I'm encouraged by you, Theo. I'm encouraged seeing that. Because I think some of the things he's saying right now, that's the reason I think I said earlier, like he's realizing something that some Christians haven't realized or need to say. I should change that. It's not some Christians. He's saying something now as seemingly not yet a believer that I, in my life as a proclaiming believer, hadn't come to realize for a long time. And it's something by the grace of God I'm so glad I have confronted in my life. But like, I think I was just... The reason I was sitting there like, man, I admire hearing this from this man is because of how long in my life I was just lying until I realized that and was willing to admit what he just seemingly admitted. And like, props to you, man. Props. We love you. That's so great. So cool. But sorry, did I cut you off earlier, Levi?
No.
Okay. So Theo wants a new story. If you're out there and you want a new story, and like that could be that you're the person out there that's just you're hate listening to this episode right now because you're not a believer, but you're listening. You're like, man, I do want a new story. Or maybe you're someone that's listening to this and you're a Christian, but you've got that sin that you come to God and you want it gone, and maybe it is pornography. Probably it is for so many people. It is, right? But then in your heart, you're like, but I don't actually want to give that up. Man, I hope you come to that realization that like, you got to stop lying about that story being your story because you need it. You need him. You really do. You need to put your faith in him. And I guess I shouldn't say like, it isn't to say that if you're struggling with a sin that you're not saved. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like, we can be like pretending like we're not struggling is what I should have said. Like we can be pretending like we're not struggling with sin, but really we are. And pretending like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. And I don't do that, but we are. And we're lying about it. That's who I was for so long. And if that's you listening, yeah, give that up to God. Be willing to admit that. Like it's really humbling. And it's why scripture talks so often about the need for humility in the Christian life, right? Like we're talking about that at youth group right now. Because without it, like, how could you even admit that you have a problem if you can't be humble? And if that's that first step necessary to putting your faith in Jesus is recognizing the bad news. If you're not humble, you're never going to recognize the bad news. Because if you're not humble, you just think you're perfect. But
yeah, I mean, I think for me, the big thing is just like everyone, the truth is out there. And it's like how you find it, right? We've got our different adventures that we choose, how we get there. We're all on this, I don't know what you call it, a cobblestone path. Everyone's taking their different paths to get there, but find Jesus, find the Lord, and it is so much better. And yeah, I think it starts with being honest and being genuine with yourself. Remove the pride, figure out, where are you? Where do you want to be? And know that the Lord is the way, the truth, and the life, and He's the only way to get there.
Yeah.
It also makes it a lot easier to get there when you have brothers or sisters next to you to pick you back up when you fall and to bring you back onto the right path and to help you when you're learning things, to be able to understand them in the correct way. Like being able to bounce things off of each other instead of just echo chambering these thoughts or things.
Fellowship is huge.
Fellowship is massive.
Yeah.
It helps. I mean, not only, well, yes, in like the accountability sense, in the sense of like, I've read this scripture. Does this make sense? Am I, interpreting this correctly? Like, just bouncing ideas off people.
And when bringing up like, just some of the things that were even said here, like I would want to have a conversation with Theo about some of the ways that he's thinking about things, or some of the ways that because there's a lot of really good things that he is saying, but some of the wording, just like talking that through with somebody can really help put you on
Yeah.
the right track and make sure that you're not just going off on a tangent that doesn't an unnecessary tangent that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I think we should. Jarrett's much better at this than you and I are, but I'm glad that the Lord prompted me to remember to tie it into our theme, and man, does it tie in so well. Our theme for this season is Psalm 37, verses 5 and 6. It says, commit your future to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act on your behalf. He will vindicate you in broad daylight and publicly defend your just cause. But man, that verse 5, commit your future to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act on your behalf. So much of that is the answer to the I'm failing.
Mhm.
I can't do this. God help me. Well, Theo, commit your future to God. Trust in him, and he'll act on your behalf. If you trust that God is the power, that higher power, the one that's better at all this than you, well, what does he say? He'll do it for you. He'll pay that price for sin for you. He will, in him, okay, Philippians 2 says that he will give you the desire and the effort to work out that salvation too, which that's also that answer to those things you're struggling with, the things you hate doing that you keep doing. Philippians 2 says, man, if you're a believer, God will give you the desire. You're recognizing that there's still part of you that wants to not change, even though you're asking to change. Hey, God says that if you are saved, if your faith is in him, if you trust in him, he will act on your behalf. He'll give you the desire and the effort to work out that salvation, which means having victory and success over those things. So man, I think it's so cool that ties so well in. I'm really glad. Jarrett would have been like, come on, you guys, come on. He's watching this episode.
Like, say it,
tie it in. It's never worked better than it is going to work right now. You better say it. Praise God.
Good job. Good job bringing it back.
Thank you, Jarrett. We'll just put Jarrett's face over my face while I was saying that, so it looks like he's the one that said it.
Definitely.
Just a horrifying digital mask.
100%.
I expect you to do that as our editor.
Editor.
Actually, wait, maybe if we wait long enough, the intern can do that one. Yo! Just kidding. All right, we got anything else, or can we wrap it up? I know that was a long one, but
I think it's good.
I think it's good.
that sounds like you had something else.
No.
What's that nugget of wisdom that you never shared?
Oh, okay. So the thing was, I think that we solved the ship of Theseus problem.
Oh, yeah?
Nice. No, leave it on. That's a teaser.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. No, we've solved the ship of Theseus problem.
Go to
because-
Patreon if you want to
have
hear
to
how Levi
want.
solved the ship of Theseus problem. No.
You have to want a new ship.
No, it's literally that we're all these broken, rotted ships that when we become saved, God fixes that major hole that we've got, but we've still got these leaks that require this constant sanctification, and he's repairing all of these things as we're calling God, hey, I really need help right here. I've got this part of me that is broken. Please break this fully and remake me. Break this. And it says that he will make us a new creation.
Yeah.
What is old is passed away. We are a new creation. So it is a new ship.
I like
Yeah, that's the thing. You're right about individually, because the new creation is talking about the church, and Jesus created in that moment this new creation that is the church. And so what's cool too about that is individually, yeah, right. He's sanctifying each of us, right, removing some of those rotten boards and continuing to work that thing out. But because no analogy is perfect, right? But what's really cool too is, what does God the Father see when he looks at us, that still partially broken ship, still partially rotted, that God is working out and sanctifying us? God the Father looks at it though and just sees the perfect ship because of Christ. That's so cool though, right? When God the Father looks at us, he just sees the perfect ship of Theseus, which is Jesus.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool, right? Because it's a both and thing, right? It's so important that we live in both of those things, because that's that freedom that is given to us because of what Christ has done. The price has already been paid. We don't work.
No,
for,
yeah.
But
I like
that's
that.
that's something that
We've always been the new
I
ship.
forget. That's something that I forget. Yeah, that's something that I forget, is that that God the Father does look at me and see Christ's righteousness. Because if he didn't, then I wouldn't be going to heaven. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
I like that ship of Theseus thing. That's good.
I'm glad we brought it back. I like
Yeah.
it. Good
Thank
work,
you.
Levi.
Yeah. As perfect as it would have been to end on our theme, You took
cut it out.
took my job this time. No, you always make fun of me for like I thought that would have been a good place to end it, Jerry, but you had to keep going.
You guys pushed me to keep going.
That's my
I
bad.
was
That's my
good
bad.
without bringing it up. I was just going to talk to you
Never
guys
know.
about
I'm
the
glad you brought it up. I liked it. I'm just saying, never again do I want to hear it. I'm just
I was thinking we could end on our theme for this season.
actually I was thinking since we have you here, Carson, can we talk about SpongeBob for a little bit? No.
I was like,
Do you have anything to
I was
plug?
that serious?
anything to
Do
plug?
you have anything to plug?
No.
Nothing?
The Lord. The Bible.
Yes. Oh, it all comes back.
It's good,
Yes. Always.
man. It's good.
God is good. All right. Thank you for listening. We love you very much.
We'll-
If you want
Why did you do that? No, continue. You always end it on we love you very much, and then I say the thing. So I thought you were just going straight to it.
Yeah.
But no, continue your plug.
I was just going to say the thing we try and say at least once an episode, which is if you enjoy the show and you want to be involved in what Levi said earlier, the necessary needing a Christian. I'm all flustered now. If you
Join the Discord.
yeah, join the Discord because
Christian
you need
influence.
people around you, and we want to help you with that. If you're not part of a church, we want to help you with some of that Christian community around you to encourage you. So join discord.gg/Christian Influence, and you're welcome to talk to some of us there too if you'd like.
Get involved.
Oh, roll the outro.
Woo!
I was waiting for the
That's a good one.